good, I think. Well, it's 2019, January 2nd, so we thought we'd put together a little audio podcast for to review what happened in 2018 with the Maquoketa Athletics, and I'll be your host, Dale Scott, and joining me is my usual partner, Chad Coakley.
Hi, everybody.
And we also brought in Cannon Coakley and Caden Scott, since they were available tonight, to give a student perspective on what's happened in the last year. And I guess we could start out with, as far as the year goes, let's start with the summer sports.
Okay.
Baseball and softball. You know, not a lot of highlights there, but the baseball team did have a doubleheader sweep at Anamosa, which back-to-back games of 10-0, 10-0. And that was kind of the highlight of the baseball season, really, as far as that goes.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of other big points. I would say about both the baseball and softball team is a lot of youth playing, right? So gaining some experience for the future. I know, I think we had 8th graders playing for both sports, playing at the varsity level. So, and then a lot of freshmen, sophomores filling in there too. So a lot of youth. I think good things to come for both programs moving forward.
And you said youth, and also with the softball team, they actually had a doubleheader sweep at Vinton as well. And in both the doubleheaders, in the baseball doubleheader, Cannon pitched 5 1/3 innings until he reached the 90. He had 91 pitches when he finished that last batter with being a sophomore classification.
Freshman.
Oh, that's right. I always think you're a year older than what you are. Thank God you're not. But he did 91 pitches, and then our 8th grader that played with us this last year, Mitchell Rader, finished up the game and kept the scoreless streak going. And then in the softball doubleheader, Carly Paul pitched the first game, and then Jenna Wybenga, another 8th grader, was the winning pitcher in the second game.
Yeah, so there you go. You got a lot of youth there to get some of those key wins and something to build off for the future. You know, a little excitement for the kids and a little momentum to keep it going. So
I'll bring in Cannon since we mentioned you. What do you remember from that doubleheader?
My home run.
You're the only home run on the season.
Yeah.
I remember your dad being a little excited about that one. He was worried about who's going to get that ball.
yeah, I remember jumping up right away because it seemed like off the bat I thought, oh, well, that's got a chance. And I probably jumped up a little early with the way the wind was blowing that night. You weren't real sure how the ball was going to carry, but it looked good off the bat. But what about, that first game really that you pitched was kind of a matchup of some youth talent, too, because you pitched against Nolan McLean, a freshman for them also, that, he's a very outstanding athlete that does a lot of things well. He was our quarterback when we played him in football this fall, too. So I think it was it a 0-0 game through 4 innings maybe in that game? And, just take my hat off to both young pitchers in that game, throwing strikes and getting outs and trying to keep their team in it. And luckily for us, we got some key hits late in that game. I think, did Abe Mickle have a hit to get the scoring going maybe? And I'm
trying to remember. I know I looked at the box score again today real quick, and I know Caden had 3 hits on both games. He had 3 RBIs, a couple doubles. Cannon had the home run. And
Caden might have had a hit before Abe.
Cole Harmon had a couple of hits, too, in that contest.
And Cole Harmon's a kid that kind of came out last year and did some nice things for the varsity baseball team, too, with the bat. I know he led us in triples and was right up there on the team in hits and things like that. But, Ken, any of your thoughts on the baseball season and reflections on, where you think the team's headed, things like that?
We'll definitely be better next year. Talent coming up, especially 8th graders.
And you got some key players. Most of the team comes back. Yeah, we haven't. The only seniors we really lost, I think, were Parker Nimmers and
Perry. Yeah, there were only 2 seniors. Only two seniors on the team.
Arvin quit.
Arvin didn't make it through the season, but was that the only 2?
Yep. After Arvin left, yep.
Okay. So yeah,
We're stocked with seniors this year.
So yeah, we've got to looking at this year. Caden, what do you think about the senior class? How has there been any talks going on about how people are looking forward to the baseball season? I know some guys are getting some work in already, swinging the bat and doing a winter hitting league in here and stuff.
Yeah,
what are you
I'm
hearing?
pretty excited for the hitting league, obviously, to get back in the swing of things, get ready for it, and prepare myself. But yeah, I sit in class, talk with Kane and Thomas about what they're thinking, what they're excited about. Obviously, Kane's main focus right now may be basketball, but we can still have a baseball conversation.
Absolutely.
We're all pretty hyped, excited to finally be the leaders of the team instead of like, because the leadership wasn't there recently, so now we have the opportunity to know that what it's not like to have it there and what we can do to bring it back. And with the youth on the team, like bringing up the 8th graders and stuff, me being a junior last year, I have never even said a word to half the kids coming up, and let alone they're being my teammates. I've never said a word to them before.
Yeah, you're just getting to kind of know them.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, I think that's kind of the trend in sports in high school is that at the schools of our size, you have to fill in. The numbers just aren't there, so you're filling in with a lot of younger kids year after year. Not just in baseball, but we're seeing it more in football and basketball and things like that too.
I think we're like at 4 straight years of an 8th grader in baseball, if I remember right. Or is it
Three.
Three.
Three, yep.
And more than likely it'll be 4 this year.
Possibly. So I'd say maybe one last note on baseball, unless you had some other notes on the baseball season, Dale.
No, we got plenty of others to cover, and I know we'll get the one that you and I get excited about out of the way first, so we can spend more time on other things. But I think last year was a little disappointment as far as I'm concerned, in the fact that the previous year wasn't great either. But with all the young kids that played, we had a ton of sophomores that first year play, and basically all them coming back. I thought we would have been better record-wise than we were, and I think pitch counts hurt us. I mean, flat simple.
Yeah.
We don't the pitch count rules are geared to help the schools that have deep starting talent in the pitching rotation. Something we did not have. I think we had a little more last year than we did the year before. I think we'll have a little more again this year. So hopefully we get it up to where we're going to win maybe 12, 15 games. I think I'd be happy with that, or at least look at that.
I think part of it with a young team too is if you can get a win early in the season.
Yeah, we started out 0-9, I think, before we got that first win.
If you can get a win to let everybody know, understand what it takes to win, and then kind of build off of that, it goes a long way towards the season. So I really look to, if we can get a win that first week, it's going to be very key to our success the rest of the season. Because we are going to rely on some young arms. Now, the other thing about this season that I think is going to help is, our schedule looks a little different.
Yeah, it is. It's been overhauled.
We're not playing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for one thing. We might play a Monday, Thursday, and then we might play a Tuesday, Friday the next week. And so that gives you a little more leeway in how you're using your arms, and you kind of mix and match the pieces a little bit better, and I think that's going to help us a lot.
Well, based on last year, I think we're in a good spot with Cannon and Kane being our basically 1 and 1A pitchers.
Yeah, and then
1A, 1B, however you want to say it. It's kind of like when Andy and I were pitchers. I mean, we were pretty equal, and it turned out to be very successful. The difference is I could throw 300, 400 pitches a week. Cannon can't.
No, and it always comes down to pitching, right?
It does.
It does. And when you get to postseason play, it comes down to pitching, and once you get beyond that, we're getting kind of deep, because really, Peyton Mangler pitched well last year.
Yes, he did.
Mitchell Rader come in and had some good innings, and then you've got
Abe Mickle, I thought, threw well too. If he can just find a second pitch,
yeah, if he can find a second
he could be really
pitch,
dangerous.
Yeah, Abe come in and did a tremendous job, and Thomas Crosland is an innings eater. He comes in, throws strikes. He doesn't have a lot of pitches in his arsenal, but he comes in and he gets the job done. The big thing behind some of these guys is being able to play defense behind them, and I look for us to be a little better defensively this year too. We're gonna have 3 seniors in the outfield. Your infield's got another year of experience, and
yeah, we won't be young.
We won't be as young.
Yeah.
We're gonna be young. We're gonna be young, and we're gonna have to fill in to get some of the depth, we're going to have to add some younger guys. But
Okay, let's move on for baseball.
yeah, let's get away.
Because you're going to hear all this again in a couple months on our spring training.
Yeah,
stuff.
maybe one more thing about baseball, and maybe you wanted to cover this later. Was
Yeah, we'll cover that later.
okay.
Softball. I mean, they won 4 games. They won one more than what the baseball team did. But, you know, I think they had a depth problem too. They were really young. I think they had maybe 3 8th graders playing up in varsity.
Well, I'm trying to think, and I apologize to anybody out there. I don't have the rosters in front of me, but who did we have for seniors on the softball team last year?
Sid, or
Nope, Sid's back this year. If you give me a second, I can look it up.
Yeah, it's just because I know we had
was it
Sid was a sophomore, junior shortstop. Tenley was an 8th grade second baseman. Sid was
Brooklyn Waller.
Brooklyn Waller was the only senior.
That's right. You're right. It was
Brooklyn Waller, yeah.
the right fielder.
I apologize to the Wallers, but that's right. Brooklyn Waller was the only senior. I remember having that discussion last summer.
So that's a
They're bringing the
ray
whole
of
team
hope
back.
there too. Yeah.
I mean that's when you get that experience, and again for them, the key is going to be getting a win early. To if you can win that first game of the year, man, that's
They were just like the baseball team. I mean, they lost like the first 10, 12 games of the season too, and
yeah.
it is draining, and you can tell until you finally break through, and they broke through with that doubleheader sweep at Vinton to win their first 2 games of the year. So I'm looking at it. Yeah, they had on their roster. If you just look at the roster from last year, freshman Brooklyn Waller, the senior we talked about, they had Addie Bowman was the freshman, and then they had 8th graders: C.J. Yeager, Jenna Wybenga, Tenley, Addie Mickle, and Melissa Robert. So that's a ton of young youth.
Yeah, it's very young.
And Sarah's a great coach.
Yeah, she does a very good job of teaching the fundamentals, which I would expect from her. Her father was, but yeah, she does a really good job. I think she gets good buy-in from the kids that are on the team. It seems like when I see their open gyms and stuff, they're
already going at it.
Yeah, there's a lot
right
of kids going at it, and I know one of the fathers stepped up and has been doing a lot of hitting with the kids and stuff, and it takes stuff like that, and it seems like they've got a good group of young kids that are working together, and they're going to turn this thing around. I know they are. So,
well, let's move it back a little bit, and we had Taylor Thiede qualify for the state golf tournament.
Yep, Taylor had an outstanding high school golf career and capped it off with was that her first trip to state?
Yeah, that I don't know.
I believe it was, but I apologize again to the Thiedes too.
These are kind of things that I will start taking notice nowadays with what we're doing, and be able to, I'm not Jack Marlowe, can sit here and rattle it right off my head. I should have invited Leetsy over.
Yeah. But moving forward, I think these are things we're going to be able to cover more and talk about more and have an understanding what's going on better. So yeah, but congratulations to Taylor, and she was a fine student athlete here at Maquoketa and did some great things. So,
and then cross country, Tyler Myers, he qualified for state.
Yeah, and I think he had a nice showing at state.
I think there was like 100 some kids that qualified, and he was like in the 67th, I think is what it was. Somewhere in the 60s, I think he finished, so pretty decent.
Some of these things are kind of tough to look up online, so if we don't have a lot of the data right in front of us.
I'm sure I got it written down somewhere from football season when we were discussing it, but and then got I don't know anything that happened in track. I don't know if you do or not.
Very little.
Do you guys? Were you in track this year?
No.
No.
So I can't really speak to much of the track season. I know Nathan Waters had a pretty good season with discus.
Right.
And didn't one of the girls relay teams compete at Drake?
I'm not sure.
So that's something.
Carry pickup.
Oh, Carrie Pickup for hurdles, right? 400 hurdles.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? She went to Drake or State. So yeah, Carrie.
I think she went to state off of a disqualification or something. She was like the first runner-up behind somebody.
Okay. So stuff we'll keep better track of this year. But yeah, I know.
Yeah, we'll put Kai in charge of that.
Yeah.
We'll make him secretary.
Trying to think back to the track season. It's getting to be a stretch almost a year ago.
And in golf, we talked about Taylor, and
then Caden Atenza.
we know Caden Atenza did something there.
Close to making it to state. Did he make it to state?
I know Buddy will have to.
I know he had a very good golf season too. So congratulations, Caden, on that.
Then basketball last season. We'll get to this latest run, but last season the girls won their district opener against DeWitt before going on to losing the second round to CPU, and they actually had a really good season. I kind of miss Hannah Ambrosi because she was a floor leader. I just really enjoyed watching her play, and she's playing now in college up at Clark.
I haven't. Have you seen? Is she getting some playing time up there?
She plays JV, and then she gets small minutes on the varsity.
Okay.
She travels with them, but she gets small minutes.
Okay. Well, good for her. Well, that's quite an accomplishment as a freshman too, because it's you get to that next level, and it's tougher than it was. It's
Definitely.
It's not. And so good for her. Yeah, she was fun to watch, and she was a scorer, and like you said, she was a leader, and yeah, like you said, just fun to watch. So.
And then this year's girls team, most of the team was back. They did lose Hannah. They lost Kaylee Harmon, who's playing volleyball at Mount Mercy.
Brooklyn
Waller again. I'm trying to think, that might be about it for them too. Oh, Leah Putz.
Oh yeah.
If we forget anybody, I'm gonna apologize right now, but we're trying to remember a lot of this off the top of our head.
Yeah, we're really just trying to recognize the athletes from last year,
and this year they're off to a pretty good start. I think they're 6-3.
Yeah, I believe so.
Girls team, so pretty impressive there. They got Bree, I think, been starting for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
Bisma.
And Nels Bisma's leading the way as well, and
it's amazing how fast some of these. It seems like some of these high school careers go for some of these kids. Bree Bennis. Yeah, I remember when she was a freshman out there, and now she's a senior, and boy, it goes fast.
But I mean, they're showing signs that they might make a little run here and coming up at.
They've got
March.
the pieces, and
get the right draw for districts, and
when you take
anything can happen.
And when you take a kid like Ambrosi out of the lineup, it changes things. Different kids got to step up, and everybody's role changes a little bit. So it takes a little bit. 9 games seems like a lot, but it's not when you're trying to figure things out. And you had one injury that
and Autumn just came back.
So now it's almost like you're resetting again and trying to figure out where everybody fits in. So, and I think Coach Depke's done a good job of trying to make those adjustments and figure things out and keeping the train moving.
And then as far as the boys are concerned, last season they had maybe their biggest win was the last second shot that Caden Atienza had at West Delaware.
Yeah, an exciting play, and maybe that was kind of the thing that
I think that's what kind of started the train a little bit.
Yeah, that's what started the thing, the things that are coming, and West Delaware was a very good team last year.
They were on an 8-game winning streak, I'm pretty sure, when that happened.
So,
and then of course, maybe I don't know if you could call it. It might be the biggest story, but I know there's one other that's kind of fond to us to be the top moment from last year. But the fact that the boys team right now, at the end of 2018, going into 2019, is the number 1 team in the state.
Yep, and that's
and they've already. And I seen a comment on Twitter about, well, they haven't played anybody. I'm like, we just got done with back-to-back against number 3 ranked teams and beat them both, and 2 different style of games, and that's the other thing about this team. And Caden, you can relate to it, and Cannon, you're getting some time right up close now too. is teams have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at you guys, but you've found a way to win in physical games, up and down games, let them shoot at games, make them go down low games. Defense is obviously a big key, but I think that you guys have really learned from losses that they've had, because, I mean, this group has been together for the last couple of years on a varsity level for the most part, and I think they've learned how to win.
Yeah, now I want to kind of make a couple points here. So one is, yes, this group has spent a lot of, especially the senior class, has spent a lot of time together working on basketball, right, and fine-tuning these skills and working hard towards this goal, and terrific for them. It shows that the time and dedication they've put in is really paying off. And the other thing is winning some of these games, and the thing that's hard for teams to defend against Maquoketa basketball, boys basketball right now, is you have A.J. Becker, so very good shooter. Now, when you go to shut him down, who's next? And most of the time it's been Macklin, right?
Macklin driving, Kane spots up.
But, so you shut down AJ, and then let's say you try and key on Macklin. So then you go to Kane, and Kane's had some 20-point games, right?
Yep.
And then you get past that, and you got Connor Becker. And Connor Becker had I can't remember what game it was, but he had, in the fourth quarter, I think he had 13 points in like 3 minutes.
Marion, yeah.
Yeah, he just went off, you know. So how do you defend that? Most teams aren't deep enough to defend that.
No.
Deep. But here's the other thing. So you decide to defend all that, and then against Davenport West, Kane Tenz has 18 points because everybody decides they're unselfish and they're just going to pass low.
That's probably my favorite game of this first early